We are recording. And 1, 2, 3.
And we're in. Welcome to Only the Greatest Podcast, where we explore the vital connection between fitness and success in all areas of life. We are your hosts, Daryl, Philip, Shawn. I know I wasn't supposed to read y'all's names, but I just did. And our goal is to help you become the greatest version of yourself. And we do that through 2 different show types, which we're getting ready to modify a little bit. But every Friday, we'll come to you with a full-length episode that may or may not include a guest. And on Tuesdays, you'll get a little nugget of knowledge that you can immediately implement in your health and fitness journey.
If you happen to find any value in this show, all we ask is that you leave a quick review and mention specifically what helped you out. If you're listening on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave that review and a comment below.
The one and only sponsor of the show is ourselves, OTG Fitness, which is a private personal training gym located on the south side of Houston in Webster, Texas. You can find more information about OTG Fitness by visiting otgfitness.com or searching OTG Fitness on any social media platform.
Any of them, except for Vine. We went over that
last week.
All right, John. Welcome back, dude. We had a little bit of a mix up with me being out of town, and now Phil going out of town. So we got in here on a Monday evening.
Got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, dude. Got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You got to drink some egg whites
to figure it out. Speaking of figuring out, today we're going to figure out what you should eat before you work out.
Ooh, wow, look at that segue.
That's the topic. I've been segueing for a while.
That was a nice segue.
That was a beautiful segue.
Is that what a segue sounds like?
I don't know. Really.
It could be.
I was looking for this one.
Oh,
there we go. Yeah.
Imagination.
There we go.
So let's jump right into it, fellas.
Sure.
So Phil had this idea, and the whole nugget of information versus the general fitness knowledge. We want to do a little bit more of a how to, what to, type, just to kind of give some direct guidance on things, on how we feel about it. And so today, Phil had the idea of what you should eat before you work out, because as the owner of OTG Fitness and the head trainer, I'm sure this, and I'm guessing, but this is one of the number one questions you get asked when people first start training with you.
Yeah, all the time. People want to know what they should eat before, what they should eat after, if they should eat before at all.
Yeah.
Things like that. So I figured we could kind of dive into this thing, answer the questions, give a little bit of our own perspective as well, because everyone's a little bit different and nobody likes hearing this. But the real answer to the question is it does kind of depend.
Depends on the individual.
That's right.
But we can give you some bullet points here to kind of help you navigate. Experimenting is the best
That's right.
approach in the beginning, right? Either you can start off one way. So there's 3 factors that Phil came up with, and I like them. So what time do you work out? What type of exercise are you doing? And what is your individual digestion like? So because I know for certain Phil, there's certain things Phil eats that'll make my stomach messed up, and vice versa. Especially, Phil's got a little more sensitive stomach, so certain things that I eat, he's like, man, I can't eat that because it's going to upset my stomach, right?
Right.
So those are the 3 main things to consider when you're trying to create a plan.
Yeah,
right?
and so we can start with the timing of the workout, right?
Yeah.
So Daryl works out midday.
Right now I'm working out midday, Monday through Thursday, like at 11 a.m. And then on the weekends, I work out first thing in the morning. So Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday. I'm off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I take one of those off. But the other 2, I'm training first thing in the morning, 6 a.m.
Okay, perfect example. So,
and they're different.
Yeah, exactly. They're different. So let's dive into this a little bit.
Yeah.
So the main thing when it comes to experimenting is the first thing you want to think about when it comes to your experimentation is what time are you working out? So one day Daryl works out in the middle of the day. The other day he works out first thing in the morning. He just said his nutrition is a little bit different. How did you come to that conclusion?
So experimenting, but I came to realize pretty quickly after I got serious about being in shape a few years back. I don't know exactly how long ago, but when I was like, okay, I got to dial everything in, I quickly realized that weight training, resistance training on an empty stomach did not work for me. I felt great in the beginning. Halfway through the workout, I was starving. I felt like I had no power. I was shaky. Blood sugar seemed weird. I never checked it, but I bet it was low. And that didn't make me feel good. So that's when I was doing resistance training. However, if I was just doing cardio, say I was going for a run, getting on the stairs, whatever it was I was doing that day, and I ate before, it would make me feel sluggish and make me feel a little more winded. It would make me feel like my stomach was upset because, I just pounded whatever it was I was eating and I take off running and it's 100 degrees outside, So I quickly realized that it depended on the type of exercise I was doing. And so I found out, and so I started experimenting with the foods, right? So the days that I work out midday, I'll have 2 meals before I train. So I will wake up in the morning and I'll eat my standard. Typically it's very specific, but I'm locked in. I eat 170 grams of plain Greek yogurt. I mix a couple stevia packets in there and my creatine. And then I eat about in there anywhere from 100 to 150 grams of papaya. Because that papaya helps with my digestion. It makes my stomach feel good. We can get into that a little bit later. So that's my first meal. And then, and sometimes I'll have a carb with it. I'll have a heavier carb, like an English muffin or a couple slices of Ezekiel toast or something. Okay. Depends on, where I want to put my calories, but it's generally the same. And then, so that'll be at like 5 a.m. or 4:30. I'll eat that in the morning. And then at like, I train at 11. So like between 8 and 9, I eat my 107 or my 8 ounces of ground beef with my 125. Right now it's 125 grams of plain white rice. That's it.
So you eat a regular meal before you work out?
I eat a regular meal about 2.5 hours before I weight train.
Because it's such a long period of time.
Yep.
Okay. So that's your pre-workout, what you're eating before you work out during the week.
Yep.
Let's transition to weekends. You're working out first thing in the morning.
Yep.
Do you still eat breakfast or?
Yep. I still eat breakfast if I'm resistance training. Okay. If I'm just going to do cardio, I won't eat anything.
Okay. So what are you having and how? 2 questions. What are you having? And then also how long before?
So that's good. So I usually want to be in the gym training by between 6:30 and 7. And so I like to eat 1 hour, 45 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes before that. And I will keep it light, but I will supplement the fruit heavy here. So I'll eat my Greek yogurt, my 175 grams, get that protein. I might even mix some protein powder in there, depending on what macros I want to hit. And then I'll have my papaya as well in there. And then I'll throw in like a banana or an apple or something. And I'll get that in me usually an hour before I train. So I'll wake up at like 5 and it's already prepared. I already got it prepped. I'll wake up at 5, walk out in the kitchen, eat, and then I'll come back in the room, shower, brush my teeth, everything, get dressed, mix up my pre-workout if I'm taking it, and I'll drive to the gym. It's usually about an hour later.
Nice. I like it. Go ahead. Okay. All I was going to say is we're a little bit different there because when it comes to the early morning thing, personally, I'm not eating. Yeah. So what I'd recommend.
No matter what training.
No. Yeah. No matter what. So yesterday, for example, Eli and I did a 7-mile run. Yeah. No food. And then if I was going to work resistance training as well, because we started at 6 a.m., not eating. Really? That's just me. Yeah. So the big thing here that we're getting at is you have to experiment and try and see what works for yourself. My personal recommendation, if you're working out in the morning and you feel stressed for time, try working out without eating. Try it out. If it doesn't work, now let's go for something quick, easy, like a banana. Fruit is a great option here. Bananas are great. Apples are great. Oranges, grapes.
You don't got to prepare it.
Yeah. There's nothing to be prepared. You can eat it on the way out. It's fast digesting. Carbs are fast digesting. So you kind of get you that energy quickly. So first thing that I recommend if you work out early in the morning is to not eat at all and just try it. Second, if that doesn't work, then have something like fruit, quick and
like
easy.
Like a high glycemic carb, something that's going to give you energy quickly.
Yeah, digest quickly and give you that energy and set in your stomach.
Not be too heavy to where you feel like a turd when you're working out. Like you feel like, whoa, because I've been there before.
Exactly.
Too.
You don't want to be on either extreme end of the spectrum. And then if we're working out in the evening, which we haven't talked about yet, what I recommend is to take a look at what time you're eating lunch and then see how long is that window. If you get off at 5 and you work out at 5:30, well, if you take lunch at 2, maybe you're okay.
Yeah.
But if you take lunch at 11,
not going to work.
You're probably, maybe you could try once again to experiment. But if you feel sluggish, you don't feel energized, well, let's have a little fruit.
Protein shake and a banana.
Perfect. At around maybe 3 o'clock or something like that.
Apple, some peanut butter, and a protein shake or whatever, right? So throw some, you don't want to go that long of a duration, right? Especially in the middle of the day. Like I think waking up and going fast is a little different than eating a couple of meals and then waiting 7 hours to train and then eating another meal.
Yes.
You're very likely not going to feel well.
These are different scenarios, basically is what you're getting at. Yeah. And I agree completely. Yeah. So you can have a little bit of something, maybe an hour, 2 hours before you go.
Fast acting, rice cakes, peanut butter, high fat, be careful with it. Bananas, apples, grapes, oranges, you named it all. You can throw those in with a protein shake and you're out the door, you're fast and you got some food in you, but it's not too heavy.
Yeah. I really like the fruit thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fruit works really well.
Fruit's a big one. I pretty much, if you notice, both days I eat fruit at some point before I train. And I'll eat fruit every day, but it's timed in a way that it's before I train.
Where it's your fuel for the exercise.
Where it's my fuel for the exercise, both on both training days. And then when I have it on my day off, I just eat it whenever I feel like.
Yeah, perfect. Somewhere throughout the day.
Yeah. So, all right. So the next one, the type of exercise, we touched this a little bit. Phil said it doesn't matter if he's working out first thing in the morning, he's not eating anything. So let's say you're going to go for an evening run. What are you going to do?
That is different. So in an evening run situation, excuse me, I'm going to usually my current pre-run meal. It depends how long the run is, to be honest. So they'll start with that, I guess. If it's more than an hour from an endurance situation, if it's going to take more than an hour, I have a specific pre-workout additional calories.
Okay.
If it's less than an hour, I don't treat it any different.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at in my journey. But if you're trying to get into endurance and you're trying to go for runs and really push yourself, especially with as hot as it is right now, you might want to go ahead and have a little bit of something before. But my personal before, if it's more than an hour, what I'm going to have before is going to be right now. I'm doing 3 or 4 rice cakes, and then I'll put some almond butter on there, salt,
honey. I knew that was coming.
And it's really great. And if it's a really long run, like more than an hour and a half, I'll also have a banana.
Nice.
So I get the carbs and the fats.
Right before you go?
About 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So 30 minutes, where with weight training, it might be like an hour or two. Endurance, 30 minutes. Cause it's not like a full meal.
Yeah.
It's a little bit less. And then I'll get my water together and hit the road.
So me, if I'm going to go on if I'm going on a morning run, nothing. I'm not eating anything before I go. If I'm going to go on an evening run, I'll hit my meal protocol, 5 a.m., 8 a.m., 2 p.m. And then I will wait because I'll get off at 4:30 typically. And I'm going to be running by 5:30. So 2 o'clock, 2:30, I'll eat. And then I won't touch anything until I need to let that digest a little bit before I take off, especially with how hot it is.
Yep.
And so I can't eat 30 minutes. I can't eat anything 30 minutes before I go for a run. It's not going to work for me. That's just how I
roll. Learned that though through
I learned that because I got sick when we go for a run.
Yeah.
And, it's just a matter of trying different things and remembering what worked and being honest with yourself about what makes you feel good and what makes you not feel good.
Right. Which is what we're going to talk about in the next point. Yep. And the other thing I think that you really have to be honest about is how much fuel do you actually need?
How much? Yes.
So I think that's something that some people do is overfeed for a workout when you don't really need that much. Like I said, I don't have any additional calories until it's more than an hour run.
Yeah.
Because if you don't need that much fuel, you can probably just go off. You probably don't have to put a whole lot of thought into it.
Right.
You know, you could just kind of go. But it, like Daryl said, if he's strength training versus endurance, it's a little bit different because he needs something.
I need something. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, how much fuel do you need? Guys like Chris Bumstead and Shawn, they need a ton of fuel because these guys train. I mean, that front lat spread,
I mean, when,
that eats up a lot of calories.
When you got as much muscle mass as Shawn, you know, 500 carbs.
I wish, man.
You got to have 500 carbs per meal to at least 8 meals a day.
Trying to get up there, trying for sure.
So individual digestion,
big
one for Phil because you've always had a little bit more sensitive of a stomach. So I'm gonna let you take off here and I'll go.
Sure.
After.
Well, and this one doesn't need a whole lot of thought. It's like what foods make you feel good, and what foods don't. If you know that after you eat something that you don't feel good, like you were mentioning earlier, I've been kind of holding off on this one. You mentioned having yogurt before you work out, like a Greek yogurt. Personally, I would never do that.
Right.
Because I know that Greek yogurt, I feel okay, but I don't feel great. You know, I'll have a little bit of something going on for a little bit. And so I'm going to avoid it. Say in protein shakes as well. I'm not having protein pre-workout. There's just no way. But that's me. I've experimented. I know what makes me feel good. Fruit makes me feel good when I work out. And what'll happen a lot of times is when you're going through these experiments, make sure you try writing them down. That can be really helpful.
Documenting.
If you document, and you don't have to do this forever, but if you're getting started, you need to know what makes you feel good.
First couple of weeks.
And you need to know what makes you feel bad. You shouldn't just be thinking about this when it comes to pre-workout nutrition. You should be thinking about this all the time.
Yeah. Because you want to feel good.
Because you want to feel good. But we're just kind of taking it to another level, to another extreme. We all know that even though we follow a health lifestyle, we're not always going to be perfect all the time. But before you work out, you should probably be pretty close to perfect because you want to get the most bang for your buck. You want to give the best effort, and you want to feel good when you're there.
Right. You don't want to waste your time. You know, I'll give a quick example. Like this past weekend, we were going to meet some friends up at the lake, and we were leaving Friday morning. And I knew while we were there, I was probably going to eat some stuff. You know, they were going to order pizza, or, you know, they were going to smoke a brisket or whatever, right? There was going to be some kind of food that I don't typically eat junk food around.
Exactly.
I was going to have some. So I knew it wasn't going to make me feel good when I ate it, which is generally not something I'll do. But when we're having a good time, I'm going to,
you're in the moment.
Yeah, I'm in the moment. So what I did was I got up early. I got up at like 4:30 and I ate my typical breakfast and I went to the gym and I trained hard and I felt good. I ate my post-workout meal and then we left. And I don't feel good after we get there. And, you know, first thing I do is, you know, we walk in and there's chicken spaghetti, right? And I'm like, I'll have some of that.
I heard it's illegal to not eat chicken spaghetti.
Yeah, it's against the law of the state of Texas. You go to prison for sure.
Definitely.
So I had some, you know, and then they had chips and dips and all the snacks laid out on the island. And I grazed, you know, I had some. Yeah, I didn't feel great, but I felt great when I trained that day, right? And you got to find that medium. I'm not telling you never eat stuff that doesn't make you feel good. But you know, you don't want to, so I know I got to go work out, but I'm going to eat bad later. So I'm going to eat bad before I work out anyway. And you're going to waste your time.
You're not getting an effective workout.
Yeah. So if you have the improper fuel, putting diesel in a gas motor.
Right? For the purposes of this podcast, we want you to feel good. Eat something that makes you feel good before you work out. Right?
Yeah. And Phil, you said something many, many years ago. I remember we were sitting at your grandparents' house on 4th where we grew up. And this was in the latter days of living in that house. It was closer to the end. And you and I we were going to go work out at LA Fitness. And we sat down to have a pre-workout meal, and I think you were eating like chicken and rice, and your papa was teasing you. You don't put any seasoning on your food, right? I remember he was giving you a hard time. And he was just saying his food doesn't taste good, basically. And you sat there quietly looking at your plate for a minute and I was eating. And I thought, what is he doing, And I don't remember if I asked you or if you just decided to tell me. You were like, I'm trying to get into this headspace of thinking of this food as fuel for my body. This food, I'm eating this food so that my body can burn it so that I can do the work in the gym. And if you think about it that way, and then you compare it to like most of the population, you didn't say this part, but I was like, okay, yeah, it is fuel for your body. Like, that, but when you lay it out like that, it seems more profound than it is, I guess. When you say it out loud, I'm going to have some fuel. Most people, if I told the average Joe, hey, I went to that gas station, the racetrack on Palmer, and the gas was watery and it ruined my car motor. They wouldn't go there and get gas at that gas station because they won't want to ruin their car motor. But guess what? They're going to go down to Jack in the Box and get those 10 tacos and that chicken sandwich and that large Coke. And they're going to put that shit fuel into their body. And so most people will avoid putting crappy fuel in their car and put crappy fuel into their body often. Mm-hmm. And you just gotta think about that for a minute.
Yeah,
think about the difference. You can go get a new car. You ain't get a new body, man. It's not happening. You can't even get a transplant, one of those. Not
yet.
Got a whole new body transplant.
Not yet. Shawn and I were just talking about the
Elon's working on it. He and I talked about it last night.
But no, I think that's a great point. And I know
it's long-winded.
No, it's okay. Food has become very much a social thing in our culture, and that's fine too. And we're not saying that every single time you eat, it has to be absolutely perfect, right? That's not what Daryl's trying to say. What he's trying to say is when you need fuel, you should fuel it properly.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
When you're in a situation, you're at the lake with friends, family, chicken spaghetti. Yeah. Great. Enjoy.
Yeah.
But if it's before a workout, when you need fuel, it's like a car going to the race. You're going to make sure that fuel's perfect on race day.
Yep.
Right.
And, you got to think about it as an average too of like, so you're not going to be 100% perfect. Nobody really is. Even bodybuilders in the off season, they're eating some Chick-fil-A cookies, right?
Oh, sure.
But so think about if you eat 5 meals a day and there's 7 days in a week. Was that 35? So it's 35 meals in that week. If you eat 5 meals, 7 days a week, if 31 to 35 of those are great, that's Hall of Fame average.
That's very true.
That's a win, right? For the week. I would consider that a weekly win. If you get 31 of 35 plus, 31 plus of 35, I think you won, right? Mm-hmm. And if you can do that over and over and over and over again, 4 weeks out of the 4 weeks makes a month. And, you're up to, I don't know how many 369, 130, 140 meals, right? And 90+% of them are great. You're winning.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good average, right? That's a W. And so it's not like, I had 34 pristine meals and then I went off the rails and I had that chicken spaghetti and now I suck, Yeah.
That's not the case.
That's definitely not the case.
Yeah.
And so just take that into consideration. Have some leniency on yourself.
For sure. And what we're specifically talking about here is the ones before you work out.
Right.
Make sure those are the great ones. Yeah, for sure.
Before you work out. And, back to the original point, experiment, try some things. Phil and I both like fruit. Mm-hmm. I like Greek yogurt. He doesn't like any dairy or protein powder beforehand. Sometimes something a little fatty, some peanut butter, some eggs, some white rice, all things that I digest well and make me feel good. So write down what you eat before or the first couple of weeks you start training and see what made you feel the best while you were training, and go from there. And there's really not much else to it, No,
I think this is much more simple than people put a lot of thought into. Most people know what's good and bad, right? So do good, keep it simple, experiment. Think about what time you work out, Think about what style of workout you're doing. And most importantly, in my opinion, figure out what foods make you feel good and what don't.
Think about your digestion.
And if you do that, you're probably going to do pretty well.
Yep.
And then we do have one extra little thing here, which is hydration.
Yes.
So just make sure you're nice and hydrated, especially if you're doing anything outside, because that will also affect how you feel.
Yeah. Hydration will affect how you feel, your mood. It'll affect your appetite hugely if you're not properly hydrated. You can mistake it for, oftentimes I've read that oftentimes people mistake thirst for hunger, right? If their body is thirsty, the signal they're getting is telling them that they're hungry.
It's too similar to hunger.
It's too similar, right? I don't know. I haven't read all the
I know
details,
that if I'm properly hydrated, if I stay on top of my water, I drink a lot of water in the morning and I continue to drink water throughout the morning, then I won't be as hungry. I do know that for sure.
Yeah.
So,
and honestly, when I first wake up in the morning, I drink like 30, whatever the big Yeti is, instantly. I pull it out of the fridge. I already got it made and I'll drink that in like 10, 15 minutes.
So this guy's hydrated for the whole day, but for 10 minutes.
The point is it makes me feel more awake.
Sure.
It wakes me up. It makes me feel less hungry. It just kind of gets me going. So yeah, get your hydration on point anyway, but mostly if you're going to be training hard, make sure that's a priority.
Yeah.
And that's all I got, man.
I think that covers the basis. Remember to experiment, write it down. If you work out in the morning, try working out without eating.
Yep.
It's not going to kill you. Fasting, having a fasted workout is not going to make you lose all your muscle.
Yep.
It's also not going to zap all the fat off your body. Right.
Yeah.
So it's neither extreme that you read.
The answer's somewhere in the middle.
That you read somewhere.
Yeah.
So try working out without eating. If it doesn't work, have a little bit before. Some fruit is a really good option. Think about what type of exercise you're doing. How much fuel do you actually need? Do you perform better on carbohydrates? Do you perform better on fats? Try it out, experiment, and then think about what foods make you feel good and what don't.
Yeah. And a good first step, I think, before we close this out is before you even think about what time and what type, write down what makes you either feel good or I'd say what makes you feel bad. When you eat it, does it make your stomach feel gassy, bloated, heartburn? Write those down and
immediately implement
and one line them.
Yeah.
And say, I know for sure that's a starting point. I know for sure I'm not eating these before I work out. Cause every time I eat pizza, I get heartburn.
Yeah.
And every time I eat eggs, it upsets my stomach. And anytime I eat dairy, I get gas or whatever. Right. So those things got to go.
Yeah. Eliminate is the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Immediately eliminate those foods.
And then go from there. You can say, okay, definitely not these. What foods do I know work well? And you can start there. Oh, well, I know banana and Greek yogurt don't make me feel bad. I'm going to try that. I know that whey protein doesn't make me feel bad. I'll try that. White rice, chicken, eggs, whatever it is. I eat the same, I think there's 13 things that I eat on a regular basis, unless we go get chicken spaghetti. But
now you got all 13 in one.
Yeah. Just take that in consideration, y'all. Subscribe, tell your friends, experiment, train hard. And that's really all I got to say. Shawn?
What I was going to bring up is just eating during the workout. Do y'all ever eat during the workout?
No, I do not eat I'm strict. When I walk in the gym, it's business.
Yeah.
It's not somewhere that I go to hang out because I like the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I'm going in there, I'm training, I'm leaving.
No, I just say that because every now and then, last time I had a kind of heavier leg day, I had one of those epic bars and I was midway through the workout. I was like, man, dude, I'm gonna eat this epic bar. And I felt like it just kind of reset it for me a little bit.
If it worked for you,
it was
then
nice.
Do that.
He experimented.
Sounds like you experimented and you found something that works for you.
Yeah. So that was really all I had to put in. I think that was about it. I have a pretty simple eating habits too. I eat before, and that's when I feel the best. So yeah, I like it.
You'll eat. Will you eat a big meal
before and during? No, it's it's a small-ish meal. Usually, it's ground beef and rice, or chicken and rice, or
that's pretty my whole diet right there.
Yeah, or if I'm really time crunch, it's I'll go and get a lower calorie offering from a Chipotle or a Chick-fil-A or something like that. I mean, it's pretty simple to even go to places like that and not get something crazy heavy. If I just get a just the grilled nuggets and a little kale crunch salad, and I have my water. It's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
Getting hydrated.
So
my guy's hydrating. He's experimenting. He's eating during leg day, which I've never tried. But no, strictly business. I walk in the gym or I go on a run.
Man. Try it out.
I'm knocking it out and I'm done.
Yeah.
And I move on to the next thing. I'm a task completion guy in my life these days.
I like it.
All right, Shawn, let's take this out. Tell everybody you know. Have a good one. We're out.
All right. Peace out, guys.
I like that.
Solid.
Solid.
Boom, 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 boom.